So as we know, you can make gray. We'll make a reference gray with black and white. So here's black and white. Obviously makes gray. But it's kind of a duller gray, and it generally won't have any color bias, which means that it won't be warm or cool. It'll just kind of be gray. And the benefit of having some color bias is that it can really bring your painting together. So if you're using like reds, a warmer gray is going to look more visually interesting and tie in better than just a stark gray. So to make grays, you can use your complementary colors. The three most common pairs of complementary colors are yellow and violet, green and red, and blue and orange. And you can tell these because they are across from each other on the color wheel. If you need a color wheel, head over to homebodyhall.com and grab your free color wheel and 8 color scheme guides. It's absolutely free, but it's like a really super handy reference and tool. So you can mix these. You're going to get different results based on which colors you use and their biases. Meaning if it's a warmer red like this, which has a lot of yellow in it, it's going to act differently than, say, the crimson like this, which is a little bit cooler. So I will start. I have this like pre-mixed orange here that I'm just going to use for ease. So I'll show you. So orange and blue are complements. So I'll show you kind of what you get. So as with our other videos, if you haven't checked out, we've done a few color mixing videos now. If you haven't checked them out, you can. There's green, violet, and orange. And these, when you do this kind of swatching, you want to start with your orange, with your lighter color, and slowly add in your darker color, because it's way easier to make something darker than it is to go back towards the light side. And if you start the opposite way, you could end up making like a lot of paint that you don't want to make. So, and also I would always label everything with the paint colors that you're using and maybe like the ratio of, let's say, blue to orange in this case. Because you're going to get, like, if you use more orange, you'll get a more warm gray. If you use more blue, you'll get a cooler gray. So, that's just some things to keep in mind. I use a palette knife and paint straight out of the tube to do this, not my pouring paints. So it kind of saves paint and it makes a really good reference sheet. So a lot of artists will do swatching journals. So this would be, I don't have it in a journal format, but I put it on thicker paper and then I can keep it and refer back to it and see what I'm interested in later. It's kind of just a fun exercise too if you're feeling kind of like you want to paint but you don't know what to paint. Like swatch some stuff and see if some colors really pop out to you, you know, make you want to paint. So I'm just going to mix a tiny bit of blue into this orange. It's still pretty orange, so I'll add a little bit more. See, I'm using ultramarine blue. I have like a few different blues, and like phthalo blue is more of a green blue, and ultramarine is more of a true blue. So we're getting kind of like a brownish color, which is also another neutral. So in a perfect world, when you mix complementary colors, you get like a perfect black. But like, because we live in the real world with real pigments, it's not always how it works out. So you kind of just have to play with it a little bit. I'm trying to lighten this up so you can actually see it. So this is kind of like a burnt sienna kind of color. And if I add more blue, I'll probably get a little more gray to it. So you can see that's turning a pretty good gray. Let me put it up there. So you can see right like in the middle there, that's turning a pretty good gray right there. It's pretty close to everything's backwards, sorry. But it's a little bit warmer and a little bit more interesting. So another combo you can do is red and green. So I'm going to use like this, I'm trying to think. I'm going to use this bright red, wherever I set it down at. I don't know. Okay, maybe not. I don't know. There was a hubbub with my child in here, so now I don't know where all my stuff is. Anyways, so we'll use some crimson and some phthalo and some yellow and see if we can get a good gray out of that. I'll show you another one that I thought was interesting that I watched on YouTube last night, actually, that I hadn't heard of before. So, see, we'll take a little bit of red and like the tiniest bit of phthalo and then a little bit of yellow too. And that yellow really mutes out the kind of purple that you're creating. So like I was talking about in my other color mixing videos, you can mute out any color you want with its complement. So it's a really powerful tool. So here we've got kind of a really cool gray that we've made out of the phthalo. Sorry, everything is backwards. Okay. There we go. Got like a really cool gray right there. So this also made like a really good blackish color. So I was always taught in art class to mix your own blacks for the reason that nothing, like if you're painting realistically, there's not much out there that's actually black. If you're painting shadows, it's going to be the toned down version of the hue of the thing already. So if you are painting a shadow of a red ball, it's not actually black. It's reflecting and it's still going to be a reddish hue. So I was always taught to make your own blacks, and I kind of do the same thing in this, grays and stuff, because I think it's more interesting than having just that straight gray. So you've got a couple really good grays out of those. And then the other thing that I saw last night that I thought was interesting was like umber. So I have raw umber here, and then some ultramarine, I think it was. That made like a really awesome gray. So I just want to like throw out there that gray doesn't have to be boring, and that you can do so much with it, and it can be like a really powerful tool when you're pouring, because if you like using those really bright colors, it's so good to offset it with a gray, and it really makes things pop. I'm going to mix this with white and show you how awesome this gray is, because I'm like in love with it. This is a new one for me, but it might like be my new favorite. Look at this gray, guys, from Umber and Ultramarine. Like, that is such a good gray. But if you have any questions, drop them here or in the Facebook group. If you need more help with color mixing, I put the link in the description to my resource shop. I've got some really awesome printables and tools and stuff in there that can help you get organized, help you work on your colors, things like that.